Hello, welcome. I hope everybody had a great a lunch break, and thanks very much for Best Growth Hub as well as XE 2021 for giving me an opportunity to say a few words, step out from behind the desk, if it were, as it were, to talk to a little bit about virtual and hybrid events. And while we've called it virtual and hybrid events made easy, they're never actually simple or easy. There's always things that can go on and trouble, but we have attempted to address things to make sure that it's a great experience for those that are attending. If we go back and take a step back before the pandemic or where the word event comes from, at the end of the day, it's all about a happening, an occurrence, something that is going on at a certain point in time. Now, in today's world, that's all about, well, we're using mechanisms that are virtual, or we call them hybrid. It's really still maintaining that notion of live, something that is happening that you haven't seen yet. And it's a type of occurrence that can then be talked about. And it's that buzz that comes from an event or the activities that follow up after an event that are also really crucial to this whole new world of virtual and hybrid events. If we think of what has changed over the last year, obviously the last 20 years with the adoption of the internet and growth, digital journeys have started to happen from a corporate marketing perspective. Small businesses and large are now really able to create journeys for their customers using different aspects of social and email and events and websites and really grow their client base and bringing potential customers from a stage A to a stage B. And really it's that growth that allows a business to convert eventually those customers into real customers that are actually helping to drive business. And from there, that can beget more customers and the story continues. So events at moments in time really help to drive that topical interest in the marketing activities and to drive them forward. So while you may be doing certain activities regularly and on an ongoing basis, the notion of an event is to kind of break up that normal routine and to create a disruption. Disruption is great because it allows then all sorts of different follow-ups to occur. You might be learning something new at an event. We think about the best conferences that we visited of old or trade shows. We're learning something at that event, or we're making a meeting or a connection, or we're confirming some information that maybe we thought of, but we hadn't had that external confirmation of that it was the right way to think about it. So events are critical to kind of bring people together and help us understand how we can bring that story forward. Right now, though, really, if we look at what makes a memorable experience, we like to think of it as the notions of content, context, and community, or connectivity. And so the three C's really are about how to bring those elements forward. So the content, is it timely, and is it relevant to the audience that you're trying to engage? And the content is king, as Bill Gates has said many moons ago. But how do we put that content into a context that can actually be engaged with, that people can then reuse and consume, whether it's short form content or longer form content, whether it's something like a panel discussion, which brings experts around the table? That context is really important. And how do you then gather people that might not be from your same location or even country? How do you gather people that have a particular interest, or even find those people so that you can create a context for the consumption of that content? So the ability to provide an appropriate business context is really critical. You want, as a business, it's great to do presentations, but at the same time, really what you're looking for is the connection, the ability to then show some information, engage different potential customers or partners, and really bring forth this notion of community that will help your business to grow. So fostering those connections, excuse me, in order to make a memorable experience, that's really what matters. And any business owner or marketing exec out there, like that has attended a number of trade shows, likely has contacts that they really have only spent time with at trade shows or via conferences. It's a community that gets created, and one that stretches over geographical bounds generally. So being able to bring those things forward, address the content, but in an appropriate business context is very critical to the modern day event. But there's lots of different lingo out there. Is it virtual? Is it hybrid? Is there something in between? And people are defining this lingo as they move forward and making sense of it about what you would like to do and what makes most sense for your brand or your company is very important as you move forward. So virtual makes sense. Everybody can now understand it, having been participating in various events and webinars during the pandemic. Virtual is all about all attendees and all speakers are online. There is no physical place for people to meet up during this particular event. Hybrid, that term has been coined in the last 8 months as the vaccines has started to roll out, where there would be a notion of 2 events in one. So virtual attendees are online, but also there's a physical gathering with local physically related speakers. And that's interesting because that actually brings us back to, or forward probably, to maybe next year, where there are more vaccinated people and events are more the norm, a bit of a return to the old, but likely with a much greater virtual component to them. But we think there's also something else, which is the something in between, where you might have speakers that may be local at a physical event, but they may also be virtual. And it's with great new technologies or application of technologies like a green screen and Chroma key that actually permits that real life look and feel, or that television style look and feel, to any visitor, whether they are virtual or hybrid and part of any particular kind of event. So we think that the whole line of what is an event is actually a spectrum, a continuum that runs all the way from virtual meetings and meetups and webinars, right the way through having some of those speakers at a distance in another location but are participating, and all the way to hybrid, where you may have also speakers coming in from other locations, and obviously you may have participants as well that are attending from other locations. So those experiences are different. A virtual experience will always be different than the on-site hybrid experience, and you want to make sure, as an event and as this industry moves forward, you want to make sure that the participants online will have a great online experience, and the participants locally will also be able to have that as well. And they may not be the same experience moving forward. So complexity is the rule in this case. What we've done at Eventzu is we've taken a look at this and we said, look, there are different environments, different contexts for different types of events and event structures. And what we wanted to make sure we could do is while the event and the speakers bring the content, we want to be able to provide the context as well as the connectivity possibilities where they could actually engage. So we've created a platform that allows for swappable, interchangeable spaces as needed, or even just partial spaces, in order to have an integrated experience, one in which the context is available, where people can witness a webinar, go away, do something else, come back, perhaps participate in an exhibition hall or in other networking components, and engage with those providers. We've also created different studio kind of spaces where, through the use of green screen technology and doing it remotely through a cloud production center, we're able to actually bring people to a higher level of webinar, kind of breaking out of that square screen or rectangular screen to engage with much more of a longer term TV-like experience. So what we find interesting about that is that by focusing on video, you're getting the ease of content, the ability to switch materials between looking at slides, looking at speaker, doing close-ups, wide shots, and it can become a much more cinematic type of experience. And we think that that is the trend. More video over time, easier to produce, and much lower cost, and the ability to actually be more reliably delivered to consumers over the next few years. So being able to have that capability, also tie it into perhaps a more broadcast style auditorium like we're in today, helps to bring the content to life and makes us feel that we're not just sitting behind a desk, but we actually have the ability to essentially run a news broadcast or be part of one that is generating content. And it's the generation of the content which is critical for all of the speakers, all of the exhibitors. It's new content, it's new material, it's information that they can then use to drive their social media, their follow-on marketing activities, and make sure that people are aware of the depth of their commitment to their particular business area. So we think this combination of blending and blurring the lines between a traditional webinar and something that's more, call it Netflix or TV-like, is certainly a wave that is just getting started. So in an example, this is something that we ran recently, which was essentially what Chroma Key and green screen allows is the ability to have a simple setup. It can be done in a proper studio with good lighting and people that are trained and professional to do the job. But what we're seeing is a huge trend of really just using a home office or the back corridor behind a conference room, and being able to use that space with a green screen and set up at a very low cost the kind of capability. And we manage that for any event, not just those in the context of this 3D environment that we're in right now, but also just tying to any particular event that might be run or any webinar type of presentation that requires that type of setup. So this is the before view, but then the after view looks something more like this. In this particular case, where it looks and feels like a sophisticated live broadcast, where multiple parties are speaking live at the same time, where they've got branding and video components as well as slides that are being produced. And all of that can be mixed live in the way that's appropriate for the actual experience. So you have, you're taking something from the back corridor in an office space or in a home office and turning it into a rich experience for all of the participants in that environment. And that can be done live with a cloud broadcast, and it's happening in real time as well, which is always exciting. So being able to bring this kind of capability forward to the events of the future means that we won't just be reliant on Teams and Zoom types of offerings for meetings. They're both doing fantastic jobs of making backgrounds available and making it easy to place multiple people in a gallery, but we're all still seated. If you want to go beyond that and actually start to walk around or move in context, green screen is a fantastic way to bring multiple people together on a stage and allow them to interact virtually. So as we look at the make easy part of virtual and hybrid events, we've taken on the approach to say that there is both this notion of true 3D. So it's not an avatar or things that are complex, but it is a space which invites some users to engage more. They can tie in green screen capability within that space so that live options and real life options can be used. The whole environment can be persisted, to make it exist over a longer period of time, and that's quite possible. And being able to tie in that integrated messaging. At the end of the day, it's networking is all about the chat and the live conversations, despite whichever IT connectivity issues there might be along the way. It's really getting to that point to be able to engage with people. That's certainly a value of any event that is occurring. A few tips and a little bit of a story and points to remember. As part of this virtual world or virtual and event world, the key is to be able to both participate and publish. So we like to call it participate and publish or perish. Participate because all the time that we are not traveling currently or going to trade shows or conferences, is some of that can be used to participate and witness activities that are happening in other events, whether they be the local webinar or something from overseas. Experiencing those events as an attendee, participating in some as a speaker or exhibitor are all possible, and it's a great way to generate content that can then be published and be used as an effective part of your marketing plan. So you can actually put it on a calendar and know that, you know, once a month there's some kind of activity which is going to be fed into the social channels and put on the website, and it's all getting a lot easier to produce. Participate is also important to bring back a little bit of that serendipity, the notion of going to an event or a congress and being able to find something and discover something you didn't know and you didn't expect to find. While we were doing this just the other day on Tuesday, I witnessed the Cheeky Panda 15-minute presentation. That was one of the few that I was able to actually see live completely. And Chris Forbes was up and introduced to the Cheeky Panda and the brand and the work that they're doing with bamboo in terms of addressing this industry. And I happen to be on the board of a global nonprofit called One Tree Planted. It's a reforestation nonprofit. We planted 10 million trees last year globally and are on track to do 20 or 25 million this year. And we don't know what will come of it, but certainly in that 15-minute presentation of the Cheeky Panda, I saw some alignment with what One Tree Planted is trying to do, and there may be a good partnership in there to help companies around the globe be able to make effective use of their sustainability and reforestation initiatives. That occurred in 15 minutes of participation. That occurred by tuning in and watching something that was really not part of the plan originally, but it was able to see and witness a really exciting business, and also we think it's actually quite relevant to the nonprofit that's already been established. Will something come of it? We don't know, but it certainly was interesting, and it was a bit of serendipity. We never would have found that out, and I would not have known of the Cheeky Panda had we not had this event at EXI, and I think that's interesting. Both of those organizations are focused on bettering the planet. So if nothing else, if EXI has helped that to come together, or we give a potential opportunity to move it forward, then that's great. Also remember that with every event, it's really about what we like to call the long tail. Before the event, there's a lot of build-up to the event, so a lot of activity around the marketing to get people to come to the event, but it's really also making sure to plan the post-event activities, whether it's replays, reprisals, reuse of the material, different cuts to imagery, being able to tie that into your own branded elements. Those are key pieces. For anybody that has been part of the presentation side of this event, that's great. I hope as much as they did on the presentation side, I hope that somebody on their team was also watching and recording and having their own view to how they could reuse some of that presentation in their own marketing activities going forward. So it's critical to view each event as kind of like a tentpole that can have a good, long-lasting effect on the marketing, and be able to tie that into the overall marketing channels that everybody is using. Also, viral is here to stay, and virtual is here to stay. So the combination of social media, the ability to tie in these hybrid integrations and effective studio options and 5G that's coming, whether we all get vaccinated tomorrow morning, and it's not a return to what was. It's a move forward to what will be. And this capability is an important part of any business. And each business needs to take a look at what the are that are facing them and break out the 1, 2, or 3 things that they can add each year that will help to drive their brand and their business forward. You need to experiment, you need to participate, you need to attend, exhibit, and the like, and then through that be able to find what is the most effective approach for the follow-on. So we don't be afraid of failure in terms of the activity. It's really about building step by step towards a better future, and I think that keep bearing that in mind and looking at how we can apply that to our event contracts and construct is really quite helpful. So this is Eventsu. We've addressed the creation of the event of any kind. We've created a dashboard that allows non-technical people to actually create and execute an event of multiple sizes. And our production team is helping to deliver this event live today through our global production center and our cloud center, trying to keep things moving forward, trying to connect all of the various speakers from wherever they are, and make sure that the XE event is a good one. So it has 2 components to it, both the platform as well as participation. We've learned a lot, as we do in every event. We'll make certain adjustments, and we're sure that the next time that we come forward, that the environment will be that much better. If anybody has any questions, feel free to reach out. I did want to leave a little bit of space because I know that there is an important Angels at Essex announcement that was played on Tuesday. And I believe there's some time left to actually replay that before the next session. So if we're able to do that, I will sign off here and allow that to take place. Thank you.